wait for the red line.
Okay, good evening everybody. Welcome to October's meeting of the Planning and Transportation Committee. We've heard this before, but we'll go through it just for the record. This meeting will be held under regulations that allow local authorities to meet formally using remote technology, and it is being streamed live and is available to view on our website. It is important for everyone participating in the meeting to keep microphones on mute when you're not speaking to reduce disruption from background noise, please. Throughout the meeting, councillors should have the chat window open, as this will enable you to indicate when you wish to speak or if you have to leave the meeting. When your name is called, you will need to unmute your microphone and wait for the red live box to appear around your screen, and then please speak clearly. Most decisions tonight will be made by the general assent of members present. However, if a vote is required, each councillor's name will be read out by the Assistant Town Clerk, and you'll be asked to state whether you are for, against, or whether you are abstaining. If at any time the Town Council's technology should fail and we need to adjourn the meeting for a short period, I will confirm this and ask that those present turn their cameras off and mute their microphones whilst the problem is rectified, and I will then confirm when the meeting is to resume. We can only monitor technology at our end, and so if a member of the press or public experiences technology issues, we cannot hold the meeting for this purpose. I will now ask the Assistant Town Clerk to carry out the roll call to ensure that councillors, or to work out what councillors are present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Buckland.
Present.
Councillor Chase.
Present.
Councillor Long.
Present.
Councillor Rhodes. No response there. Councillor Tandy.
Present.
And got apologies from Councillor Turner, Chair.
Thank you very much. So moving on to the agenda, item 1 is mobile phones, and as previously mentioned, if members could make sure they're on silent please for the duration of the meeting. Item 2 is apologies. The Assistant Town Clerk has already confirmed that Councillor Turner has sent apologies and they are noted. Item 3 is declarations of interest. So the standing declarations on the agenda are noted. Members and officers are reminded that if they need to make declarations, they can either do it now or at the appropriate time during the meeting. Are there any declarations to begin with? I will take that as a no. If any do come up, then obviously declare as and when. Item 4 is the minutes. So the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of September have been circulated and are on pages 4 to 8 of the agenda pack. Can I ask that everyone is happy that they be approved as a correct record?
Agreed, Chairman.
Yes,
Thank you very
agreed.
much. And obviously, given the situation, they will be signed as and when we can allow. That will be recorded in the minutes. Item 5, Chair's report on urgent items. I have nothing. The Assistant Town Clerk will confirm if there are any urgent items.
Chair.
Perfect. Which takes us nicely to the public forum. So in accordance with the remote meetings protocol, which has been introduced by the Town Council, any member of the public wishing to make representation should have emailed them to us 1 day before the meeting. And again, the Assistant Town Clerk will hopefully confirm there are none.
There are none, Chair.
Thank you very much. Which brings us to item 7, which is the substantive applications, so planning applications and other Arran District Council matters. And as always, I will hand over to the Assistant Town Clerk to take us through 7.1, the planning application lists.
Thank you, Chair. Starting on page 9 of your papers, members, I'll take it that you've all had the opportunity to review the planning applications, and as usual, Emily will do her best to show as much of the information as you need to make a decision this evening. Starting with the first application then, which is reference LU 23820 out, which is an outline planning application for land west of Bridge Road roundabout. This is the proposed Hampton Quay development that members had a pre-application viewing of a couple of months ago. And the application is pretty much as members saw it back then. So it's proposing a total of 105 new homes, some shops, retail, restaurant, and pontoons for approximately 32 moorings. There's more detail within the application regarding landscaping, highways and flood defence works. I'll open it up to members for comments, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Buckland is first.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, totally in support of this application. However, have we had any major comments from Highways in reference to the access and exit to and from the premises? And obviously, as we all know, we have this work that's going to be going on in reference to the 259, and I just wonder if any of the work that's being done via the 259 is going to assist in preparation, rather than it all coming back at a later date, and then, you know, extra work having to be undertaken to allow the exit and access, because it is right opposite the roundabout there. So I just wondered if at all anything's going to be combined into the current possibilities of the future roadworks that are going to be taking place. Thank you, Chairman.
In response, if I may, Chair, West Sussex Highways have commented. They've asked for a detailed road safety audit to be undertaken. As Councillor Buckland mentioned, the main entrance onto the site is from the roundabout up at Bridge Road, and they need to be sure that the impact is properly assessed there. So that is lacking at present.
Okay.
May I come back to that, Chairman?
Of course.
Thank you, Chairman. As I've already stated, I'm in full favour of the application. So not, you know, basically predetermining myself on this, but obviously I do have concerns about the road access and exit, and that. So, like I say, I'm in favour of the application. I think it'll do the town the world of good. Extra businesses, etc., etc. However, my concerns are, I mean, I would be happy to support the application as long as the works for the access and exit and the reports that West Sussex Highways wants is followed through. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, and then we go to Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I too feel supportive of this. It was described as a valuable gateway development, and I think from people coming from the west towards Littlehampton, it will certainly provide that. Going through the documentation that was provided with the application, there were lots of questions being raised by lots of different authorities, and I do hope that all of those will be duly addressed by the developers. The one that really struck me was the level of affordable housing that this will provide. Oh, look at that. How did you know I was going to ask that one?
It might be because I've got it written down, so you are receiving my voice.
Mind readers. Yeah, whether it actually meets those requirements or not, and if it doesn't, what mitigation are they going to put in place to make sure that it does? My usual thing about parking, I have to raise parking as a potential issue, but yes, the impact on not just the road infrastructure, but also for local health facilities and schools and so on. With this number of new residential dwellings, what impact are those numbers of people going to have when we already have issues to the north of the town about access to GPs and so on? So there are a lot of questions for me that still need to be answered. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. And then Councillor Chase.
Yeah, as it so often happens, like when you're last, I think everything's been covered now. I'm in general support of it, but obviously Councillor Buckland's very correct in the access, roads, etc.
Apologies to interrupt you, David. Have you definitely got your camera on?
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and so Councillor Buckland supports that with the road situation, and also Councillor Long with the affordable housing and the main infrastructure of everything on it. But in general, support. But if everyone else's comments are followed through by the leading authority, I suppose it's a general support.
If I may, Chair.
Yeah, of course.
The applicant has provided a viability assessment, which is quite common with developments of this nature, which shows the extent to which they are willing to make certain provision if asked. For example, it refers to making available 6 one-bedroom flats as part of affordable housing provision. It references contributions that the development could make towards changes to the highway infrastructure there. It also notes that the development of this type would attract CIL, that's Community Infrastructure Levy money, which, as members know, is for larger infrastructure projects. The viability assessment is a marketing tool, really, which suggests that there is a significant amount of money that could be achievable from this development. There is no indication what a Section 106 agreement would look like, which is where you might look to see more detailed provision when it comes to schools and medical facilities that members have already spoken about previously. So although there's a lot of information there, there is probably still some further work to be done in terms of getting to the bottom of more detailed impacts of the developments and how it might be mitigated.
Thank you, and I'll pick up on what Councillor Long was talking about, because I, like everyone else who has spoken, I have a lot of support for the principle of this. I think it's something that will bring a lot of interest into the town, and it is, you know, using something to do with the water. I know a lot of us have talked about making use of the waterfront and doing things like that. I have a real issue with the attempt that they are making to say that they will provide, instead of 32 affordable houses, which is what the policy would require, that they are offering 6 one-bedroom apartments. If I'm being brutal, I find that quite insulting to us as a town. If they want to invest in the town, they need to invest in the whole town and not just very large apartments for rich people and ditch off 6 one-bedroom apartments for the affordables. So I'm in a bit of a quandary, because I support the principle and I support everything else about it, but that affordable housing issue really sticks in the throat, if I'm honest. So I'm going to look to the committee for a steer. The options are no objection, support, or objection.
Chairman, for myself, it's and I totally hear what you're saying. Oh, hang on a minute, I'm just going to have to bang my camera on. I totally concur and hear what you say, Chairman. I also totally hear and concur with Councillor Long where schools and medical facilities are concerned, and that was one of the issues that was brought up many a time, to do with the possibilities of the regeneration of the West Bank, because that's obviously 1,000 houses, or supposed 1,000 houses. So yes, Chairman, I totally concur with everything you've said, and with Councillor Long, and obviously the issues about the exit and access statement that's required by highways. I honestly feel that we could support this as a committee, as long as it's passed back to the planning authority to thrash out the items that we are concerned and what we have been talking about. So I would be happy to support, Chairman, as long as we can send back to the planning authority our thoughts and concerns, and that they have to be addressed. And I presume that if anything comes of it, they will be the ones that make the decision overall. So that's where I am, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Is other members happy with that outline proposal?
Yes.
Councillor Long has a question, Chair.
Councillor Long.
Just waiting for the thank you, Chair. I see where Councillor Buckland's coming from. I am torn. Yes, it's a good potential development, but I just feel there are so many questions at the moment that are unanswered. While I appreciate that this is an outline planning application, I feel a bit hung between the two. I don't want to abstain. I don't want to object exactly unless they are able to give us more information. It's a very difficult position that we're in. If we can put all those provisos in that we support it as long as this and this happens, will that be acceptable or not? I'm really not sure. Thank you.
I suppose what I would suggest is that if we are saying all of those things, that is technically an objection, but that we can put in an agreement and we can make a resolution that if those are addressed, we would willingly withdraw our objection and change it to a support. I don't know. I'm looking to the Assistant Town Clerk, I think, for some advice.
Yeah. I mean, there was Councillor Buckland did put forward a proposal to support it, but as you mentioned, Chair, there were a number of concerns that members had. Obviously, there's no guarantee what will come back. Everything indicates that there is more to come from this particular application in terms of further detail. There's also further work required on the environmental assessment, but other authorities have asked for. If members perhaps wish to object, perhaps a proposal there that if more detail is required, you would be happy to review your decision, as you mentioned, Chair, should this information come forward.
Okay, and the information that I've got written down and people can fill in is there's a missing road safety audit that's mentioned, and Highways England have raised concerns over data up towards the A27. So if highways and kind of the road around Bridge Road roundabout is an issue,
yeah,
affordable housing is an issue.
Yes.
And did someone mention something else? I can't recall. That's what I managed to write down.
Infrastructure generally,
Yeah,
and down in terms of contributions, schools.
So I suppose the content and the content of the Section 106 agreement would be a.
So if there's a proposal there to object to the planning application on those grounds, with the proviso that the committee would welcome the opportunity to review that when further information comes forward. Yeah,
and I suppose if we could phrase it in the first line as that the committee broadly welcomed the proposal to develop and is supportive of the aims of the project.
Yeah, I think we will do a full minute, Chair. Yes.
Okay, and then we would happily review our objection if they are addressed.
Okay.
That's
the proposal then.
Yeah, so I'm happy to propose that if someone is willing to second that, and then we'll see if there's a steer.
I'll second that, Chairman.
Thank you.
You beat me to it.
That makes a change.
And on account that's 3, I will take that is the general assent unless there is anyone who wishes to speak now and say no.
No, that's fine.
Perfect. I think we have reached a compromise, and we will see what happens.
Indeed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
And the next application on members' list is reference LU 23920HH, which is at 68 East Ham Road, and that's a proposal to create a single-storey side extension replacing an existing timber store. There's no comments on the website at the moment, Chair.
Okay, this looks relatively straightforward. So if anyone wishes to speak, I will take contributions now.
Yeah.
No. Am I to take that as a no objection?
Yes.
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, I'm happy with that.
Perfect. That was nice and straightforward.
Thank you very much. The next application on your list, members, is reference LU 24020PL, which is the premises Felix Danceware in Breach Road, and they are seeking to demolish the outbuildings and replace it with an extension to the rear there. And again, this is just to provide additional storage space and toilet facilities. No comments on the website.
Thank you very much. And then again, I will open it up to comments or questions. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Was it me, or weren't there very many documents available to us? I felt that there was quite a lot of information missing.
Yeah, it's quite limited.
Yeah, but we're supposed to make a decision on the basis of the little we've got.
I can't comment, Chair. The planning authority validates the documentation they receive.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a minute.
Thank you. Any other contributions? Councillor Buckland.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have any issues with this. I think at the end of the day, it'll actually tidy up the back area behind the Felix Danceware. They are a very flourishing business in reference, maybe not so much with the dancewear, but definitely with the school uniforms. And that, so, you know, if they need the extra space and storage and as stated, toilet facilities, and that at the back there, I think, you know, this proposal would be beneficial not only to the business but also to actually tidy up the rear of these premises, which can only be, in all fairness, a good thing, and that for the back of Beach Road, if you like, and that. So I'll be in favour to support this, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. I would happily second the proposal to support, because it seems a sensible development that supports a local business. Any other comments?
No, I'd be happy to support it, I think.
Okay. Therefore, I'm putting support to the general assent of the meeting.
Yes.
Agreed, Chairman.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think that's the support.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's noted. Next application on your agenda is LU 25220HH, which is at 33 Maxwell Road, and that's a one-storey rear extension and loft conversion, which would include provision of dormer windows. Again, there's no comments on the website. This is a middle terrace property, and the extensions would provide substantial changes on the inside in terms of a new kitchen facility, utility room, shower room on the ground floor, and changes to the bedrooms in terms of accommodation upstairs in the building. Open to comments, Chair.
There are no comments forthcoming. So unless someone desperately wishes to speak, I will take this silence as another no objection. Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Just looking at the sizes of the proposed rooms, are they large enough? That was really the only thing I had concerns about.
I don't know that they're not.
Okay.
It is a house as such, rather than you know, a flat.
Okay, that's fine. I think I'd be happy to support this one.
Okay. Is that any? Was that support or no objection, Jill?
No objection.
Okay. Is everyone happy with no objection?
Yes.
Agreed, Chairman.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The next application on page 10 of your agenda papers, members, is reference LU 23720. And this is a retrospective planning application in respect of changes at 25 Fairway, Littlehampton, by way of a single-storey outbuilding to the rear of the property that's used as a garden room. And I believe there are pictures there somewhere showing it. Open to comments, Chair.
Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chair. I started looking at this one and I did look on Google Earth, and that was when I realised that actually it had already been done. But I mean, it looks nice. It's a good addition, and there's sufficient space, you know, in the garden to do it, so it's not overwhelming at all. I would be happy to say no objection to this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other contributions? No, I will then say is no objection in the general assent of the meeting.
Agreed.
Agreed, Chairman.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Next on the list, LU 25720HH, which is at 2 Meadow Way, and that's a 2-storey side extension to replace a conservatory. Also provides reconfigured space for kitchen, utility and study, and a bedroom above. It's end of terrace property. No comments on the portal, Chair.
Okay. Invite contributions.
Mhm.
Well, no one wishing to speak, so I will take the silence as no objection.
Agreed, Chairman.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed.
Perfect. Nice and easy.
Okay, next on the list for members' consideration is LU 24720PL. And again, this is an application where members received a pre-planning presentation, and that's for development at 57 River Road. And these plans are again pretty much as members saw them during the pre-application process. So you would be seeing 6 flats designed into 2 blocks connected by a shared stair, with provision for 8 parked cars and 8 cycle spaces, together with other provisions. There's a number of comments on the website, particularly from a neighbouring property, which expresses concerns about the closeness of the development to their own building and the impact on the upper floors and the views there. Yeah, I think that's it, Chair. Sorry, thank you.
Great. So, anyone want to go first?
Okay.
There we go. I was waiting for people to type, so I was going to be stunned if no one wanted to speak about this. So, Councillor Buckland first, and then Councillor Long afterwards. So, Councillor Buckland.
Getting a bit of a habit this tonight, Chairman, me beating Councillor Long to the button. Chairman, obviously we had the preamble before, so we sort of knew this was happening. However, six number flats, 2 blocks, okay, that's fine. It's not an issue with that. But we spoke about the facilities of parking, and you know, let's be fair, if you got 8 flats, 9 times out of 10 you're talking 2 cars, which equates to 16, which doesn't really give much of a parking issue, you know, much of a parking flexibility when, you know, River Road is absolutely jam-packed as it is. Now, I know that the previous premises that were built also had issues with people's amenity that they lost due to the visual impact, and that was the, you know, when the other ones were built, and people weren't happy, but as years have gone on, it's become accepted. I'd also like to know, in reference to the case of, are we 100% sure, because obviously it is in a area that has been known, even though it's had the work done, I believe, but that hasn't actually stopped some water ingress on the River Road area, especially near that development, that there is sufficient flood resources in that area, and that's where I am, Chairman. I'm concerned about the parking because, like I say, we are already jam-packed in that area, and you know, when we talk about parking, etc., are we wasting our time voicing it? I don't think we are, but we must keep reiterating it so people take it on board. So thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I absolutely support what Councillor Buckland is saying about the number of car parking spaces. If you add up the number of people who potentially could live in these flats, it comes to about 32. There is no way that 8 spaces are going to be enough, even if there are 8 cycle spaces. I have to sympathise too with the concerns that the owner of the adjacent building expresses, because, as they say, there's already the potential for them being overlooked, but not only externally, but I think some of the design actually affords a view into their home, which I don't think is exactly acceptable. There is there's a suggestion too of some sort of heritage protection, that its place in Littlehampton's history should be acknowledged within the building itself, or on the outside of the building, so people understand what used to be there. It has been a listed building of local character. It will need conservation area consent and so on. Again, almost more questions than the documentation can actually give us at this stage of consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think it's fair to say with the comments we've just had that we are moving probably towards an objection on the grounds of, I've got parking, I think, is the main one that is being concerned about, but possibly built heritage as well. Yes,
Chair. Just so that members are aware, there is West Sussex Highways have had a look at it, and if I remember rightly, parking was not something that troubled them so much in terms of the provision, but they were seeking more detail in terms of how access would be obtained from the highways. And regarding the place in history, Councillor Long is right. There is a comment on the website which makes a suggestion about there being a history board to explain the history of the area if it's not possible to preserve the heritage that's already there. I seem to remember that the presentation that the committee received did state that the applicant felt they had done as much as they could to preserve what was left there, but it would be limited in terms of what you would see in the new development.
Councillor Buckland wishes to come back.
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to come back. Chairman, I totally concur with the words from Jill Long in reference to the history, and obviously and I concur with the wording from the Deputy Town Clerk, Juliet, and that's something that I think we should be looking at, an actual de facto of the preservation of our history, let alone putting up a board or making them to put up a board. I mean, if anything, Chairman, it should be some kind of integrated plaque, if that's going to be required, to give, so it actually fits in with the surrounding area. I know we're talking about this application, however, the previous application that was approved and the buildings just up the road, the facade was actually kept. If you remember rightly, Chairman, and that, so yeah, that was, you know, a promise that parts of the history of that building that was there was going to be kept, and this is something that I think that we should be, you know, trying to promote in reference to the keeping of where this application is concerned. So totally supportive with the wording from Councillor Long, and my comment to do with highways why am I not surprised that they've got no comment and concerns about the parking? It's, dare I be derogatory and say, well, you know, they are going by the book. We go by knowing our localities, you know, and this needs to be somewhere, and hopefully will be addressed eventually, that they will listen to us councillors and the people that live in the surrounding areas and not read from a book. The car parking situation does need to be addressed in a proper way, and because, like I said already and stated, the car parking in River Road is at a premium already. Residents that live there already are having a rough deal as it is, and that even though we're getting some of the single yellow lines removed, and that for extra parking, the additional flats and premises that are being built are only going to add to that congestion, and I have no answer to where these people will park. So I do believe the parking needs to be addressed in a sensible way, and the offer that there is going to be 8 car parking spaces is not enough. So that's where I am, Chairman. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think we have the basis of an objection. Do you want to just summarise what you've got, Jules, so then we can vote on it?
Yes, I have. I've got parking, particularly given that the area already struggles to support existing demand. Councillor Buckland did mention concerns about water ingress and the effect of flooding there, and also members were concerned about the overlooking aspects that had been highlighted by the owner of the adjacent premises. And also I've got protection of the existing built heritage. Committee would like to see as much of that as possible.
Okay, so I think that's the proposal to object on those grounds. Is that acceptable to the meeting?
I agree, Chairman.
Yes, I agree.
Agree, Chairman.
Thank you. That will be a 4-minute, Chair. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the next application, if I may. This is reference LU 24120 CLE, which is a certificate of lawful development application. This property is at 6 Selborne Place in Selborne Road. It's currently on the District Council's housing register as a registered housing provider, so it's an HMO. My reading of the application is that the applicant is seeking to formalise that by getting the certificate in place, and in doing so they would also wish to increase the level of occupation there and moving it from 8 to 11 rooms. There's one objection on the website from someone nearby, and the District Council's Housing Department has commented on several aspects of the application, but those are mainly health and safety issues that would probably be dealt with as building regulations.
Okay, opening it up to questions, debate, and Councillor Buckland is first.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I know that, and I think I say this many a time, that I know that people have to live somewhere. However, to actually want to apply for a licence for multiple occupation is one thing, but actually to put more people in is another. And I think all persons should have space, quote unquote, around them, not to be jammed in a property, you know, like sardines. We've all seen houses of multiple occupancy, and some are good and some are bad. But I cannot get my head round why you want to go from one level of occupancy to another and force it from 8 to 11, other than just being money driven. And with that, Chairman, and including the issues with the health and safety that's been noted tonight, I can't support this application. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I agree. These rooms are looking very small, and I certainly wouldn't be happy to recommend such a development and to license it. Yeah, too small and trying to fit too many into the space that's available. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm hearing objection is the proposal. We would need to be careful on how we phrase it, because having checked, they are technically just inside safe spaces, so they are about 0.1 metre inside the minimum standard set by Aaron.
Okay. So the proposal is an objection on the grounds that it's overdevelopment of the site.
I think that would be a fair summary. Is that acceptable to Ian and Jill?
Acceptable by me, Chairman. Thank you.
Yes, I would support that. Thank you.
Good, and then I will just check with David to widen it out, just to make sure everyone's happy.
No, I'm very happy with that.
Perfect. That is general assent achieved.
Thank you. Next on your list, members, planning application LU 25420, which is property at 34 Arundel Drive, Thornley Court. And this is the installation of a step lift, of which there is a picture there. It would be to the side of the property to assist with entering the building, wheelchair access.
Okay, I suspect this may be non-controversial. If anyone wishes to speak, they have the chance.
It was tempting, but no.
Am I to take no objection as the acceptance of the committee?
Yes,
Sure.
I'm happy with that.
Agreed, Chairman.
Perfect.
Thank you. Last on this list then is planning application reference LU 24520, and this is another lawful development certificate for a single story rear extension, and this is at 2 Etherington Place, which came forward earlier on in the year to provide an extension to the property. And this one just provides slight changes to the roof. It's quite a significant extension anyway. Previously, the committee did object to the initial application on the grounds that it was overbearing.
Yes. And on account that they allowed that, I suspect this this single story extension is not going to be an issue. for what it's worth, I don't actually have an issue with it, given that it's only the single story is going to look tiny compared to the rest of the house. But I will invite anyone else who wishes to contribute. Nothing forthcoming, so am I taking that as no objection to the single story side extension?
Yes.
Yes, agree.
Perfect.
Yes,
Thank you,
Chair.
everyone.
Thank you, Chair. And lastly, just one application on members' supplementary list, and that is the Waitrose site in Avon Road, which has been re-advertised as additional plans have been presented regarding the look of the building, or the buildings, I should say, as far as we can tell. The applicant appears to have submitted further plans regarding the design, but based on the information that's available, nothing has changed in terms of the scale, which is still reduced to 50 flats proposed, with parking for total 25 spaces, which the Highways Authority have commented no objection to. The correspondence on the file does suggest that the applicant will respond to further comments made by the Conservation Area Officer, and there may well be further amendments coming forward. But as it stands, there's just some additional plans that have been presented, hence the re-advertisement of the application.
Okay. On the basis that I think very, very little, if anything, on what we objected to last time has changed, I would propose that we just maintain our current, the submission we put in previously, unless anyone wishes to disagree.
I totally agree, Chairman.
Yes, I agree with that as well, because as you say, nothing really has changed. The scale of things remains the same. The parking remains the same. So, yeah, happy to go with that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair, that's noted. And that is the end of this week's applications.
Perfect. Which, returning to the agenda, takes us, I believe, to 7.2, which is consultation on proposals for the reform of the planning system in England.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Pretty much, as you said, there's quite a bit of detail to this. I've attached with papers for members quite a useful summary from the Royal Town and Planning Institute, which identifies the four main areas that the government have looked at in terms of this review of the current planning system in this country, and highlighted some of the points in the report that might be of interest to this committee. But really, the summaries that I've been reading all indicate the same thing, and that is it's quite an aspirational document, and arguably there are quite a few aspects to it that many would agree with. But what it lacks is details of how some of this would be implemented and how it would be resourced, particularly how local planning authorities would have to deal with accommodating these new requirements. The deadline for the responses to the consultation is the 29th of October. If members are happy with the summary that we've put forward, if there were any further comments, the proposal is that we take those, work them into a response, and in consultation with yourself, Chair, put something forward if committee are minded to.
Okay, so if anyone wants to make any more suggestions or elements they would like to be included. Councillor Buckland. Councillor Buckland, do you wish to speak?
Yes, I just haven't gone live, Chairman. Well, it's not saying live.
Is your camera on?
It is,
Okay.
definitely.
Apologies. Do you mind turning it off and turning it back on again? Because the system's not allowing me to put you live, I'm afraid.
Right, here we go. No.
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm still struggling and I can't work out why. There we go. It suddenly decided to want to work.
Okay, but Councillor Buckland can be heard if he's happy to proceed.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're live now. Thank you. Chairman, my only concern with the and maybe the Deputy Town Clerk might be able to help me with this, is that with all this obviously proposed way of planning for future, etc., how will it affect our neighbourhood plan, Chairman? Will it help it? Will it basically distort it? What will it actually do for all the hard work that's been done for the neighbourhood plan and its protection of areas, etc.? Just it's just one of them open-ended questions, really, I suppose. Thank you, Chairman.
Probably no great impact on the neighbourhood plan as it stands, and respecting what's already in place. They are looking, part of the concept behind this is to provide more standard documentations, I think, and support neighbourhood plans with local design codes, etc. But where you have one, it wouldn't be taken away from you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And then Councillor Long.
Thank you, Chair. Interesting to hear your comments there, Juliet. I thought I read somewhere that neighbourhood plans almost became just a design document. I would, having been so closely involved with the work that went into actually putting our neighbourhood plan together, I would hate to see it lessened in its importance locally. I mean, it was signed up to by sufficient people across the town for it to get through its referendum. I was interested to read the comments that Arran District Council submitted about this consultation. Their concerns about, the potential reduction in the number of affordable homes that would be created under these new plans. But given those comments and the summary that you had put together, yes, I would be happy for any discussion with the town clerk and the chair of this committee to take forward our thoughts. Thank you.
I think in terms of the neighbourhood plan through you, Chair, it is unclear. Whilst nobody's taken it away, there is a suggestion that some of the changes might reduce the power, if I can put it that way, of neighbourhood plans, but the documentation so far does lack clarity. If members were also minded to support the comments of the District Council, we can get hold of those and put that forward as well.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd be happy if we could include those comments or include our support for their comments.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They are the local planning authorities, so arguably they'll be at the front really of trying to implement a lot of these changes, and in terms of resources and how this should be managed, it isn't clear how the government plans to support that.
Okay, so I think steer is taken, and if members are happy, we will put together a response that we will agree.
Yeah, which
Okay.
takes on board the comments regarding the neighbourhood plan, Chair, and also looking at what the District Council have submitted as the local planning authority.
Yeah, perfect. And if members have any other suggestions, then obviously they can email them in the meantime.
Yes, in the next week would be very handy, as the deadline is the 29th of October, if that's okay.
Yeah, excellent. Okay.
Next week, yeah.
Right, and then we will move to item 7.3, which is the Aaron Gypsy and Traveller Site Allocations Consultation.
Yes, Chair, this is part of the ongoing work on the local plan, and members will probably be aware that there is a statutory requirement to make provision for travellers' sites throughout the district. In terms of Littlehampton, there isn't a site in the parish boundary that's proposed. Unless members have got any specific comments, I was going to suggest that it's noted.
Mm-hmm. Any specific comments or questions on 7.3?
No.
That is a no, so that's, yeah, we will note that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Item 8 is transportation and other West Sussex County Council matters.
I have none, Chair.
Thank you. Item 9 is master plan North Littlehampton.
Not much that probably most residents in Littlehampton aren't aware of at the moment in terms of the development progressing. It's expected that the next meeting of the steering group will be on the 10th of November. To be confirmed. Otherwise, no other updates, Chair.
Perfect. That brings us to exempt business, of which there is none.
There is none, Chair.
And so, with a thanks to all the staff who have helped run the meeting for us, I will draw the meeting to a close at 7:32.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very
you.
much, members. That's, yeah.